it's Nancy today. Well, I was just thinking about something. The easy road and the hard road. And like in life in general, there's the easy road and the hard road, which is all about choices, and it's usually easier to make choices that are not as beneficial to the soul or the character of someone. Anyway, so what I was going to mention was that our choices, when we sit down, our choices, it's the easy path is to do what we usually do. So that's like picking up your knitting or picking up your iPod, whatever it is you usually do when you sit in a certain place. And that's the easy road, right? Those are things that have given you, well, depending on what they are, of course. For me, those are things that have given my life value and meaning. I mean, my life has value and meaning anyway, right? But it's service is what life is about. And when you serve, you're happy. When you don't serve, you're not happy. The happiest you are is when you're thinking of others, taking care of others. I was with somebody and they turned around after them to look at the ramp where I was walking down after having kind of slid on the ramp. And I could see that person was concerned about my safety. I thought that was so cool because this person was quite young and, had never been very concerned about me or whatever before. But, after you get through the teenage years, the me years, then you start to develop interest in other people and concern for them, I guess. And I don't think this person realized that they were concerned for me. I think that they were just looking back to see, they said they were looking back to see if they'd made it slippery, which meant slippery for me who was on it. And I thought that was very kind and thoughtful to look back and to be curious how Mom was doing or how Nancy today is doing. Anyway, that was a really cool moment because service brings you happiness. Anyway, and so if in your stuff that you do, you are doing service, then theoretically you should be happy. If you're doing service like taking care of your kids who are totally in your face and you can't breathe, that's different kind of service. There's a kind of service where you do it because you want to do it. There's a kind of service that you do because you can see, because the responsibility falls to you. Now, motherhood, responsibility does fall to you. Fatherhood, it falls to the fathers. But for motherhood, sometimes it can be a very thankless job dealing with a tantruming toddler or a teenager. Sometimes that kind of service just doesn't feel like service. It feels like you're in a concentration camp or something pretty awful. Sometimes. I wish that tooth hadn't broken off. Anyway, changes how I bite and how I look. The most important, of course, is how I look, right? Don't you think? Is that your most important thing? No, mine is not how I look. My most important thing is what I look at. See, I'm looking at that. Always investigating it. Anyway, so what I was starting to say about the things that you do with your time, like sometimes being on Facebook or YouTube or something can be good for somebody. You can be doing service in your comments, can uplift people, and just let them know that someone is listening. If somebody heard them as they spoke into the void. Now, if somebody says, "Oh, I'm going to commit suicide," then everybody will jump on and say something. Or if there's a real tragedy in the family and you want prayers, everybody will jump on and say it, sympathy and such like that. But when it's just normal chit-chat stuff, and sometimes you're not at the desperate need yet at all. You're doing fine, you're just going along, but you've got things you want to talk about and think about. And having a human voice, even if it's a comment or a phone call, wonderful when people actually come over or you go over somewhere else. Most of us women are on our own most of the time, unless you're a working woman. But if you're a mother, a stay-at-home mom, in my life, the only person I saw other than my family was the bus driver. Days would go by and I would have only seen the bus driver. I walked the kids to the bus because we live out in the woods, which is kind of nice. I mean, I really do not want to look at a house next door where the person has their routine and I'm getting to learn what their routine is. I don't think that's important. I'd much rather be looking at the woods and figuring out what the deer's routine is, or the porcupine. I don't see him up in that tree anymore. I think he's just about eaten that whole tree. The top is looking very bare. He's really ruined it. As far as trees go, he's ruined this tree. There's another tree that was looking really bad a while ago, and I think it's further down. I don't think I see it from this view. So anyway, what I was talking about is when you want to learn something new. Say you want to learn a new stitch with knitting. You'd kind of like to learn a new stitch, but you're pretty busy knitting what you're knitting already. Like I knit socks right now. And I do everything in a right now thing. I do everything like 50 birdhouses, 50 bird feeders. Well, not 50, but I just do big. I start tracking. I'm tracking and looking up all the tracks, all the animals, And so when I'm knitting socks. I'm knitting these socks to go with my clothes. I only have to do them once because these socks will last the rest of my life. Most of them. Some of them will not, but most of them will. And so what I'm doing is an investment in my future. And I really like having socks on that go with what I'm wearing. See? Doesn't that look nice? Well, I think it does, so there. So anyway, if you want to learn something new, like I've got these books here, and I would love to sit and make a Cherokee basket. Somebody was talking about it. They saw the video of me making the Cherokee basket. That was when Celine came to visit from Australia. That was pretty cool. She was over here touring about, and she phoned me up or wrote to me and asked if she could come over. She's a wonderful person. So we went camping together, and while we were camping, I took along my basket making stuff, and I worked on my Cherokee basket. It's called the Chief's Daughter Urn Cherokee basket. Boy, that chickadee looked like a snowbird. Snowbirds are they're almost a buff beige, but they're quite white. But when you see them, there's a tint of yellow or a tint of brown. It's a beautiful color. Very subtle. And they come in flocks, and they land on fields. Probably fields that have been growing crops. That's where I always see them. They'll swoop down and be on the snow, and then they'll swoop up and go. And so you can't sit and just watch them because they don't stay in one place very long. That would be neat. And they don't come to your bird feeder. Be neat to put down bird food right down there off of the end of the deck. I'm sorry, not bird food, deer food, because I see them on those ridges across there. It would be neat to put it down there where it's kind of, I'd have to throw it a long way, or maybe put it in something that would open when it landed, like Kleenex. There's an idea. Fold it up and roll it up in Kleenex and then throw it. Have to put a rubber band around it or something so that it would stay together while you're throwing it. It used to be something biodegradable. There is nothing. A burlap sack. Hey, just put the whole bag of feed right out there. Just put it out there. See what happens. Okay, so I never finished what I was going to say. I have a way of interrupting myself. Do you notice that? My daughter started timing me. Said, I can't go more than 3 seconds on one topic. What's with you, Mom? It's me. I've been this way my whole life. Get with the program. I'm just me. Okay, so if I want to learn something new, sometimes I resort to tricks. Like I'll pull the book out and put it next to where I am. And so then I'm like, ooh, look at that. Well, let's look at that. But sometimes I get used to doing what I always do, like making a video or something. I hear movement in my house. My husband is moving about. So you have to consciously want to do something differently, or want to learn something, to make yourself, sometimes you have this total drive and you just want to know and you look it up and that's it. You never think twice about, you look it up on Siri or you look it up in a book. Most people use Siri. But if you really want to know something, you go for it. But if you'd kind of like to know something, it'd be kind of nice to make socks with cable stitch in them. That would be interesting. Anyway, so you have to make this conscious effort to sit down and not just do what you always do, which is whatever it is you always do. You have to be ready to do something different. I used to try and schedule it. I'd say, okay, on Tuesday afternoon, I'm going to make baskets. I never made a basket because it was Tuesday afternoon. Not once. Not even once. Wait a minute. I think I did it once. But I had it as a repeating thing every week, and so I never saw it anymore. Anyway, so scheduling it doesn't always work. Not for me. So I have to look at it, and once I look at it and see the cable stitch, then I'll really want, I know how to do a cable stitch, or I've done it in the past. You put your 4 onto a needle, and you go past and you just weave the other side, and then you cross them over. Put these 4 on a needle, on a stitch holder or something. But I haven't done it in years, so I'd like to see how it's done, and maybe I could just incorporate that in making my socks. It might slow me down, though. I like being able to make a pair of socks in 3 days. 3 days of knitting. This is the latest pair. You know which one this will go with. This goes with my orange dress and my orange skirt and my orange blouse. This number's getting really big, eh? 1233. Anyway, so I was cleaning up in here a bit. I was working over there. I put a whole bunch of bins that were down under these things up high. I think I should rearrange some stuff in here. I have to think about what I want to rearrange and where I want it to go. I was thinking of changing my chair from what I look at right now and see something else. I could move it over to in front of that window and I could see what's there for a while. Because I'm getting kind of good at what's out here. Sort of. And I can see into what's out here. That's what I like. I see into it. In there, I'm going to be looking at the outside edges of the branches and the trees. So I'll have to practice. Make a decision. What do you really want to do, Nancy? Just what do you really want to do? Well, I guess I should go because I'm really not imparting much information anymore, am I? That's the way it is. Well, are you having a good day? I hope you're having a good day. I'm having a good day. I went for a walk out on my deck, out on the balcony, my walker. I went to the doctor yesterday. I'll tell you about that in another video. All right, so there you have it. Bye.